Back in February of this year, 2025, J.Crew and Barbour announced the collaboration that resulted in the jacket that I'm wearing now and that we are reviewing today, which is the J.Crew Barbour Barn Jacket. At the moment of shooting this video, the jacket is sold out, but I was able to snag one, so I'm going to be giving you my opinion on this jacket. I'm going to compare it to the original barn jacket by J.Crew, and I'm also going to tell you if it's worth the money and the hype. And spoiler alert, I don't think it is. There are certain things that miss the mark with these jackets, and I will tell you more about this at the end. Oh, and welcome to Coat Culture. My name is Michele, and as you can tell, I'm passionate about all things coats and jackets. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I have many reviews of coats and jackets coming your way. J.Crew is an American company originally founded as a mail-order catalog company in 1983. It focused primarily on clothes that were inspired by an idealized New England lifestyle. But they also came up with their own version of traditional workwear, like jackets, barn jackets, and boots. One of J.Crew's most famous item is actually the barn jacket, which came out in 1984. Meanwhile, Barbour is a company that everybody knows. They have been making wax cotton jackets since 1894, and these jackets are worn by pretty much everybody, from the royal family to fishermen, from hunters to motorcyclists. So when these two companies decided to collaborate, it wasn't just a regular collaboration, but for many people it was actually a meeting of two very separate and distinct visions of what menswear is. By the way, this isn't the first time that J.Crew and Barbour collaborate. They had already launched the barn jacket back in 2019. And like this time, like 2025, even in 2019, it was a limited edition. And like this time, the jacket went sold out almost immediately. But before we dive into the features of this jacket, we need to do a little bit of history about what the barn jacket is, how it started, and why it became so iconic. So if you're not interested in that part of the story, just skip to the sections where I reviewed the features of the jacket. But if you're interested in the history of the barn jacket, stick around because that's what I'm going to talk about right now. First of all, let's get on with some definitions. What is a barn jacket and how does it differ from a chore jacket or a field jacket? And by the way, you are in the right video. I've actually switched jackets and now I'm wearing the original J.Crew barn coat. I gotta be honest, when I moved to the United States and I heard for the first time the term barn coat, I didn't know what the hell it was. There was this guy that told me that he had bought this beautiful barn coat, and I looked at him really in a weird way because this guy was definitely not an outdoors person, so I wasn't sure what he would do with a barn coat. And the reason is that the expression barn coat is actually not very popular in continental Europe. There isn't a direct translation from barn coat to Italian or French, which are the two languages I grew up with. And I'm not saying it's only an American concept, but I'm saying it's definitely used more in English-speaking countries, which is interesting because this is not a jacket that originated from an English-speaking country, as we will see in a minute. So here is what we're talking about. The terms barn coat and chore jackets are often used interchangeably, but they indicate jackets that are, yes, very similar, but that are not identical, and that were worn by two very different groups of people. The chore jacket was worn primarily in an industrial setting by factory workers, and because it was worn indoor, there wasn't a lot of focus on the protections from the element, but more about the resistance of the materials used. The barn coat, on the other hand, is worn primarily by people who do most of their work outside, and because of that, the focus was more on the protections from the element. So very often, a barn coat is a heavier coat than a chore coat. Often it is also waterproof. So because of the different settings, they were often made of different materials and with a focus on slightly different things. However, from a style point of view, they were very similar. Both the barn coat and the chore jacket have very large pockets. As you can see, this barn coat has very large pockets here and actually another one underneath. And these were designed so that the worker could put a lot of tools in them. The chore jacket also has very large pockets, but they also often have chest pockets, which barn coats do not always have. The barn coat in general is a little longer than the chore jacket. And normally it also has a warmer, often flannel liner, like the barn coat I'm wearing now. However, as workwear evolved into fashion, these differences between the barn coat and the chore jacket kind of got lost. So right now you can find barn coats with chest pockets and without a corduroy neck. And you can find chore jackets with corduroy necks and without chest pockets, and that are even longer than barn coats. But where did it all start? Well, this is where it gets interesting, because despite the popularity of the barn coat in the United States and to some extent in the UK, the jacket that will become the barn coat made its first appearance in France towards the end of the 1800s, and it was called at the time le bleu de travail, which means the blue work jacket. It was originally designed for industrial workers, and it was in this deep blue color, hence the name, le bleu de travail, because the blue was meant to hide the stains that would come from working in a very greasy and oily industrial environment. Originally, the bleu de travail was made at home. It was like a homemade affair. But very soon, factories realized that there was some merit in providing these overalls, these uniforms, to the factory workers. So specific companies started to make them. By 1920s, there were French brands like Vetra, Les Laboureurs, Mont Saint-Michel. They were actually making these bleu de travail, which was purchased by the workers. Now, as far as the United States is concerned, the first appearance of the American version of the bleu de travail can be traced back to the 1880, when for the first time we can find a jacket very similar to the original French in Levi's catalog. And at the time it was called the sack coat. This jacket became very popular among workers in pretty much all fields. It was used by factory workers, agricultural workers, railroad workers. By 1889, a company that will become synonymous with workwear, Carhartt, came into the market and started making heavy chore jackets for the working force. And in 1917, they released their first barn coat. It's very interesting to see that in the United States, the barn coat took two very different directions. First of all, it became a staple in the Western ranch world. Because of its features, the barn coat was ideal for people who worked on ranches and were taking care of horses. So the barn coat became as ubiquitous as cowboy boots or a cowboy hat. But on the other hand, the chore jacket and the barn coat also became a symbol of the American counterculture. It kind of became a symbol of an America that was long lost, an America that was better. In Europe and in the UK specifically, the opposite was happening. If we're talking barn coats in Europe, we need to talk about Barbour. The first official barn coat made by Barbour was the Bedale, which was launched in 1980. The Bedale is still in Barbour's catalog to this day, and it's actually one of the best-selling jackets yet. It was specifically designed to offer a jacket that would be ideal to use in a barn/horse environment. But whereas in the US, the barn jacket started to be adopted by the counterculture, in the UK, the opposite started to happen. So that you started seeing the Bedale and the Beaufort jackets worn by the royal family and then by the people working in the city. So on the one hand, in the United States, you had the barn coats worn by the counterculture movement. And in Europe, you had the barn coat being used by very rich people and by even the royal family. J.Crew entered the barn coat conversation in 1983 with the same coat that I'm wearing now. With its heavyweight canvas material, with its flannel liner, with its corduroy collar, this jacket became immediately successful, well beyond expectations. It was adopted pretty much by everybody who wanted a comfortable, casual jacket to go around in the fall or in springtime. The jacket remained in J.Crew's catalog until the year 2000, when it was discontinued. But the jacket continued to command very high prices in the second-hand market, so that in 2017, J.Crew decided to reintroduce the jacket without making any changes to the style and material. So that the jacket that you can buy today is the same jacket that you could buy in the 80s. A couple of years after the reintroduction of this jacket, in 2019, Barbour and J.Crew announced their first collaboration. So they made the barn coat for the first time. And then again, in 2025, this year, they launched the same collaboration once again. Since its introduction, the barn coat has become a staple in pretty much every American man's wardrobe. I don't think I've met anybody in the States that doesn't have a barn coat of some sort. Now let's talk about the features of this J.Crew Barbour Barn coat. There are three things, first of all, that I want to make clear. The first thing to know is that this jacket I'm wearing, the Barbour J.Crew Barn coat, is not an exact replica of the J.Crew Barn coat. There are actually quite a few differences, some of them substantial, that I will go through in a minute. The second thing to know is that officially this jacket is sold as a unisex jacket. Now, to me, this is marketing gimmick, to be honest, because what you're buying when you're buying this jacket is a man's jacket. The way the zipper works, the way the buttons work, they are all designed as a man's jacket. Of course, a woman can wear it, but a woman can wear any man's jacket. It doesn't have to be told that the jacket is unisex. So if you're a woman and you're buying this jacket thinking that it has some qualities or features that make it unisex, you're being misled. You're buying a men's jacket with a boxy feeling that will fit you very large, but it will fit you. The third thing to know is that this jacket is only available for purchase via J.Crew. You can buy it at a J.Crew store, you can buy it on the J.Crew's website, but you cannot buy it on the Barbour's website or via any other retailers. And at the moment of shooting this video, this jacket is sold out. First of all, let's talk about the material used for this jacket, which is a 4-ounce wax cotton. This is way lighter than many of other Barbour jackets like the Beaufort or the Bedale. Barbour uses the 4-ounce cottons for some of its jackets. They are called lightweight. They used to have many more a few years ago, but now they only have a couple, if I'm not mistaken. What this means is that this jacket is much lighter than any other jacket I own from Barbour, and it's designed mostly for warm weather use. So it is designed to be thrown on during a summer storm or when the temperatures are very mild in spring and in fall. It is definitely not a jacket that you want to use in the winter. Now, to me, the fact that it's made of 4-ounce cotton is part of the appeal because I was intrigued by the possibility of using it in the summer. However, a 4-ounce wax cotton jacket comes with its own set of challenges that you need to be aware of. First of all, because the jacket is very light, it creases very easily. And what this means is that it is subject to tears and holes much more easily than other jackets. So it means you need to take care of it more often. You need to re-wax it more often. However, you cannot use the regular wax that you use for your Barbour Beaufort or Bedale or any other 6 or 8 ounce or 10 ounce wax cotton jacket. You need to use a specific stick that requires a different type of application. I'm not saying necessarily that it's more difficult to apply, but I'm saying that you need something else to wax this jacket. And third, because the jacket is so much lighter, it also does not retain the waxing treatment as long as other heavier jackets. So it is a much more delicate jacket that is much more prone to forming tears and holes. It requires a different type of a waxing procedure to re-wax it, and it needs to be re-waxed way more often than many other Barbour jackets. Now, one of my favorite features of this jacket are the 4 overlapping pockets. These are exactly the same pockets that you can find in the original barn coat, but there is a difference. Barbour has put a corduroy under the overlapping top pocket, and this corduroy is really delicate to the touch, so that when you access the lower pocket, you're actually touching this corduroy. And I actually find this very luxurious, much more luxurious than the original barn coat jacket. These pockets are very, very spacious. You can throw pretty much really everything you want in it. Again, originally you were supposed to put a hammer, a screwdriver, and all of that, but you can definitely put several books, you can put food in it, so they're very spacious. I wouldn't say that they are as spacious as the bellow pockets that you have on a Barbour Beaufort though. Now, since we are on the subject of pockets, let's talk about two pockets that I don't like. This jacket has the hand-warming pocket, which are classic in every Barbour jacket. But I have two issues with this. First of all, the original barn coat by J.Crew does not have the hand-warming pocket, and I feel that it's a much cleaner design. It's less busy, it's just more visually appealing. I feel that Barbour wanted to put these pockets because it's a classic Barbour thing to have, but I feel that by doing that, they have made a design which is not as clean as the original. I actually don't like it as much. And my second thing about these hand-warming pockets is that they are useless on a jacket which is made with 4-ounce wax cotton. You are supposed to be wearing this jacket in warm weather. You're not going to use the hand-warming pocket. You're not going to be using this jacket in cold weather. So the hand-warming pocket on this jacket are, one, useless, and two, they ruin the design. And the third element is that they're also not very deep. One of the great things about the hand-warming pocket on my Beaufort or on many other Barbour jacket is how deep they are, so that you can actually put your hands in them. In this case, the pockets are not very deep, they are very shallow, and yes, they are lined with the classic Barbour moleskin, but when I put my hands in them, I can hardly fit in them. You can see that most of my hand is actually outside. They ruin the design, they are useless, and they're not very deep. Where Barbour has definitely not missed the mark is with the liner of this jacket, which is beautiful, and it's 100% cotton. So it is cotton around the chest and the back area, and more importantly, it is cotton across the entire sleeves. This makes total sense because, again, this is a warm weather jacket, so you do not want polyester because it will make you sweat a lot. Now, there is some polyester towards the bottom of the jacket. It doesn't bother me as much as it does on the Ashby, for instance, because in the case of the Ashby, the polyester is also used in the sleeves. It also makes sense that they haven't replicated the liner that is in the original J.Crew barn coat, because the liner on the original J.Crew barn coat is actually very heavy. It's a very pleasant flannel liner, which doesn't make sense on a barn coat, which is designed as a summer weather coat. The liner's design is the classic Barbour tartan design, which is very beautiful, and I think it works very well with this jacket. And the labels on the interior, on the liner, are actually the classic Barbour labels. There is nothing that gives away that this is a collaboration with J.Crew, aside from the J.Crew label, which is put right under the big Barbour label. I really like the corduroy that Barbour is using on this jacket, both in the collar area and in the cuffs, and also under the pocket, because this is very, very pleasant to the touch. Much more pleasant, I would say, than the corduroy used on the original barn jacket. Another feature of this jacket, which I really love, are the gussets in the back, which make these jackets extremely comfortable in every setting. I never feel constricted. It's the same design that is on the original J.Crew jacket. I've seen many people online complaining about the color combo of this jacket, saying that the corduroy on the collar is too light. I actually like it, and I have zero problem with it. I think it works very well. This Barbour coat does not have a way for you to attach the hood that Barbour sells for many of its jackets, and there is no way for you to attach the liner that Barbour sells separately. I think that both choices were actually the right ones. I don't see why you would be using this jacket in cold weather, and it's unlikely that you're going to be using it in a storm. This jacket is not made in the UK, but it's made in Moldova, where Barbour manufactures many of its coats, like the Ashby, for instance. And for reference, the original J.Crew Barn coat is currently made in China. I don't have quality problems with jackets made in Moldova or in Bangladesh. My problem is always about the price that these companies charge, even when making jackets in countries where labor is cheap. Of course, Moldova has high-skilled labor, but the reason why Barbour is making jackets there is because the labor is cheaper than the UK or France or Italy. And yet they are charging $415 for this jacket, which is on par with Barbour jackets, which are heavier and made in the UK. So they're paying Moldovan costs in terms of labor, but they're charging UK prices to you and I. And I think that's dishonest. Now, in terms of fit, I am a 40 regular in American clothing and a 50 in Italian clothing and Italian jackets. The coat I'm wearing is a size M. On their website, J.Crew says that the coat fits loose and a little big, and they recommend that you size up. However, I find that the medium fits me very well. The sleeves are the right length. The jacket is definitely not constricting me in any way, and I'm very comfortable in it. Of course, right now I'm just wearing a polo shirt, but even with a sweater, which is really all you're gonna wear with this jacket, I'm very comfortable. I think that Barbour is saying that this jacket fits big because it is a unisex jacket. If you're a man, just go with your regular size, you'll be fine. If you're a woman, obviously it will fit you quite big. The jacket is definitely shorter than pretty much every other Barbour I own. Definitely shorter than the Ashby and the Beaufort, as you can see on the screen now. I do not own a Bedale coat, so I'm not sure if this is even shorter than the Bedale, but you can see the measurements on the screen now. Definitely, it's a much more casual jacket compared to the Beaufort or the Ashby, and you cannot wear it over a sports coat, that's for sure. If I compare the fit of the original J.Crew Barn coat with the Barbour Barn coat, I think that the fit of the Barbour version is actually tighter than the fit of the original J.Crew Barn coat. So what do I think of this jacket? Am I happy with it? Would I buy it again? Well, I think that at some level this collaboration works. I do like certain things that Barbour has introduced to this jacket. For instance, as I said, I really like the corduroy that they're using, and I like that they've added the corduroy under the flapping pockets, as I call them. And I like the fact that they have kept the silhouette of the original jacket. I do like the liner that they're using. And I even appreciate the fact that they have done a summer version of a barn coat. And yet to me, on another level, this collaboration does not work for a variety of reasons. First of all, I think that the choice of the 4-ounce cotton for a barn coat is wrong. The barn coat is supposed to be worn outside in the elements, so I think that a heavier wax cotton would have been a better choice. Now, I understand that most of Barbour jackets are already made with 6 and 8 ounce cotton, so perhaps Barbour wanted to differentiate it from the other jackets that they make. And perhaps J.Crew also wanted this jacket to be a lighter version of the barn coat that they also sell. So I'm not sure what the thinking was behind, but to me a barn coat needs to be heavy, and this is definitely not a heavy jacket. And then, as I mentioned, I think that the decision of Barbour of putting hand-warming pocket on this jacket kind of ruined the design of the jacket. Now, all of this could have been overlooked if the price had not been offensive. And yes, the cost of this jacket is offensive. So this jacket costs $425, which is more expensive than the Ashby jacket, which is also made in Moldova, but it's made of 6-ounce wax cotton. And it's as expensive as the Bedale and the Beaufort jackets, which are both made in the UK and are both made of heavier cotton. So we have here a lighter jacket that costs as much money as jackets made in the UK with a heavier cotton. I think this is pure greed. Frankly, I have not decided if I'm going to return this jacket or not because I'm still in the return window. But if the question is this jacket worth it? My answer is absolutely no. It's definitely not worth the price. At this price, I see absolutely no reason why you should take this J.Crew / Barbour collaboration and not an Ashby jacket or a Bedale jacket or a Beaufort jacket. The only people that I would recommend this jacket to are those that are looking for a very lightweight jacket to use in the summer. And that's actually the original reason why I bought it, and I thought that this could be a good jacket. Or if you're really an aficionado of J.Crew and their barn coat design and you want the Barbour version. But if you're buying this jacket because you like Barbour and you just want a wax cotton jacket, there are better jackets out there that are cheaper or as expensive but offer better quality. In particular, if you're looking for a real Barbour Barn jacket, then go and get the Barbour Bedale because it's only $10 more. It's made in the UK and it's made of 6-ounce wax cotton, which makes it a real barn jacket. But I would like to hear your opinion about this jacket, if you own one or if you're thinking about buying one, if you can find it. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so because it really helps the channel. I have many more reviews coming your way, so see you soon.